Hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. This is Elantris, part 3, a diagram with that darn Kitteh.
Of course. If it's a diagram, that's what I'm here for.
Indeed. This is Kitty, by the way. Right here. And that's me. Elantris.
Yeah, like I said, if only the covers of the books were this cool, then he would have sold even more. So contact
These are
Dorcas
some... Say that
for
again?
contact Dorcas for some what's it, novel designs, novel cover design.
Bad Photoshops. You realize, Kitty, that I did not make these book covers, right?
You made all of it. You drew everything. That's what's happening.
I'm going to let you keep believing that. These are very excellent covers. I particularly the one on the right with all of the red and the kitty face. I'm particularly fond of that one. The middle one strikes me as very much how I imagined it to look, though. You got the bright orange outfit. Although Serene doesn't look too chaoted at that point.
Well, that's fine.
Yes?
Because hello, Raiden doesn't look chaoted either. He's actually a
What do you mean? I mean,
okay. No, yeah, he's silvery and his hair is white.
okay, yeah.
And he's shiny there. So
Okay, so this is post the end. Okay, I can see it. Yeah. This one. There's what?
She seems busty in it.
I see no problem with that. Arms here are suspiciously missing, I note.
They're under the cloak thing, the cape.
Is it not called a pallidimentum? Might not be. Hard to say. Hello, Davina Duckworth.
Hi,
And Kitteh, would you like to run us through hello, Taylor Ramirez.
Hey, Taylor.
Gotta sell books.
Boobs.
I gotta say, this stream is not starting how I thought it would, and yet I'm not displeased.
It never. Look, just that's the thing. When other people are around, that's just something you're gonna have to deal with. When other people are around, we're not gonna act the way you want us to.
True.
Right. So, I've got to change the thingy. Well, you were asking me. I've got to do something.
Walk us through part 1. What do you remember of part 1 of Elantris?
We get
nothing. It's all gone.
Yeah, no, most of it is gone. But so if we're thinking, I'm trying to think of them in different parts. It all goes together for me. That basically it's Raiden getting shielded and basically then getting to build up. His experiences in Elantris, and of course then Serene, her coming to the town, basically not realizing her husband's dead, and she's still got duties there. She takes up. She starts also basically rebelling for a Serene. She starts rebelling with his friends, his old friends, to basically bring down the king and replace him with a better one. And also investigate the king. I don't know when that doesn't get revealed in part 1. Hey, what happens with the king?
I don't believe so, but meanwhile, we've also got a High Gjorn of Shootereth, coming
Yes.
into Erelon, is it?
Mhm. Yeah.
And he's basically like, I'm gonna convert the people before I invade them in 3 months' time. Or rather, his
Before rare
leaders,
does.
his higher ups, his
Mm.
nation.
Mhm.
And he ends up being quite combative, both with Serene and with someone that he presumed to be inferior to him in the pyramid scheme that is Shudereth.
Yeah.
Um, and that was some exciting stuff. We'll get to that.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, well, in part 3, yeah.
yeah. So Raoden ends up going and uh, reminding the Elantrians, who are these living corpse things that can't die and their pain never goes away. He gives them purpose again and reminds them of the joy of work and living as best he can. And he sort of builds this new Elantris within Elantris while he's studying Aeon Door, the door being the magic in this world. And in part 2, he comes to this realization that the earthquake, that their magic system is essentially based off of the geography of the land, and the earthquake messed up the geography, and that is what essentially caused Elantris to fall. And he's working on fixing it. And then
'Cause it's not
what happened?
perfectly. Once he fixed that, he was able to make a little bit more powerful things, but some things was still wrong. Still wasn't able to do absolutely everything when he added this line in.
Right.
It was still
Meanwhile, go on.
not fixed. That's what I'm saying.
Yes. Meanwhile, King Eodon dies, and there has to be a new king, and there are more or less two big contenders for the throne, Telri and Royal. And Royal thinks that he can secure the throne if he marries Serene, but Serene is quasi-sheoted by the time
Mhm.
of the wedding, at which
On the
point
day.
on the day, at the ceremony,
Yeah.
much drama, high drama,
Mhm.
she goes into Elantris where she falls in love with Raoden, not knowing who he is.
Mhm.
Um, but then she turns back to normal. She is sent out, and then that's when Raoden figures out the secret about the earthquake. He casts an illusion spell on him, disguise self, and he goes out with his friend Galadon, and the Telri ends up dying, and Eondel, who was one of Raoden's original group, ends up dying, and so Raoden sort of has to pretend to be uh, normal and having come back from
The
death.
death.
Exactly. And that's more or less where we left off. Is that correct?
Yeah, we had taken off the Kalu, uh, what do you call it, disguise, and now he put on um, the normal Raoden disguise. And
Exactly.
yeah, and Serene is what's her name? What's her name? Yeah, she's just, oh my gosh, how did I not know, kind of thing.
Exactly. So, oh, and poor Royal dies because
Yeah,
of Ahan's treachery.
stupid treachery, just so stupid, honestly.
Very
Haha,
much
got
so.
you. And you're like, no, no,
This isn't a game, Ahan.
he's dead. It's like, no, but he wasn't supposed to die. It's like, no, he's dead now. So enjoy that.
You
Um,
know,
I think that does actually hit him in part 3.
Yep. And thus we get to part 3. So Kitteh and I will be diagramming it as the thumbnail and the title says. I summarized each chapter. I wrote notes as I was reading through the chapter for the first time, and then I wrote some reflections after each chapter. And we're going to be going through that. Kitteh will be talking about her experience as well. Lady Kitteh, would you kindly open up an X-Mind for us to begin this wonderful and interesting work?
Okay, it's present.
Present. Also, for those interested, Kitteh and I recorded last night chapter 47 in Well of Ascension and chapter 36 in Way of Kings.
So that's where we're at now.
Yes, prepare for some really fun episodes. I think we got some good stuff.
Okay.
So let's start with the summary, shall we? Raoden and Serene catch up on Keen's roof. Raoden suggests the two of them officially get married. Despite the tension of the political situation, Raoden is happy. They mourn Royal, with Raoden determining to study the healing aeons more thoroughly. He had sent Galadon back to Elantris to teach the Elantrians how to use magic. Serene wants to see Raoden's real face, not the illusion, the face she fell in love with. Raoden uses magic to help Serene grow her hair back. They look out at the palace and see Eondel and Telri's dead bodies.
Reflections.
My reflections are such that I thought that this was a really nice chapter, a necessary chapter. The two of them had been crisscrossing with each other throughout this entire book, and this was really their first all cards on the table. Let's match them up and see what's up kind of a conversation. I'm glad they're finally together, and even though all the things they're saying to each other are things that we know, I was very I don't mind that they are doing that.
They need
and
that,
I don't exactly. And I also thought Thirsty Raoden was very funny.
So what was Thirsty Raoden? He's like complimenting her, or I'm not remembering properly.
You're not okay. Let me take a quick look for it. Let's see. Raoden asked, raising his eyebrows. She was wearing one of Deora's dresses, which was, of course, too short for her, though Raoden rather liked the amount of leg it showed. She wore her short blonde wig, which was cut in a style that made her look younger than she was, a schoolgirl instead of a mature woman. Well, Raoden revised, a 6-foot tall schoolgirl.
Okay, so I think you are being thirsty there.
No more than Raoden was.
Yeah, I guess because you like the thing that's funny is he likes tall girls, not the age that is referred to. I'm talking about the girl, the tall, the 6-footness.
That.
Yeah.
And Taylor says, God, Elandrians are so overpowered. It seems like it, although by the end of the book...
Let me just grow back all your hair. And he just knows all of these things. And you know what? It's fine. We don't have time to go through a whole montage of him learning more. So he just thought of it. He's just a very smart boy. And and he made her grow her hair back. And I remember her going, this is you don't know what this means to me. It means so much because girl's gonna really care about her hair. I think it's quite a thing, especially when you don't choose to lose your hair.
Yeah. I really liked the moments with Serene talking about the face that she fell in love with, which we know to be the Sheod face, which is essentially corpse face.
Yeah. She another note that I would put is just the way that she's kicking herself that she didn't know. She very much harps on that, and it's part of her character that it's like, because she wants to be good at everything, and she wants to be the smartest, and it upsets her when she didn't figure something out by herself.
Yes.
Mm. You're moving it, Davina. Okay. Yeah, so that's chapter 55. It makes sense that that's where we're at now. Let's go chapter 56. Unless there's anything else
56.
over.
Not that I can think of. It was just, let's catch up chapter more so than anything else.
Yeah.
Okay, 56. The group mourns Eondel. A group of soldiers arrive at Keen's. Raoden and Keen sort of butt heads regarding his kingship. The soldiers want to crown Raoden king. Within the hour, they arrange the coronation. During the coronation, Raoden feels Eondor from Delof right before his illusion drops. Serene makes a speech inspiring the crowd to accept Raoden as king, regardless of being an Elantrian. She writes off Delof, but Raoden uses Ash to send a message to Galadon to prepare for something. He's worried.
Mm-hmm.
So as I'm going through it, there was a nice exchange. Let me see if I can find it super quickly. There, Raoden said, pointing his Aeon at a detachment of about 50 soldiers who left the pyre and galloped toward Keen's house. All wore the brown capes that marked them as officers in the Elantris City Guard. This could be good. Nope, that's not right. This could be bad, Keen said. Or it could be good, Raoden said. So the it could be good felt to me a very Raoden response. Ever the optimist, ever what?
Absolutely. Always. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is exactly Raoden.
Yeah, to a T. Like if you had to pick out one line from the entire book to be like, this is Raoden in a nutshell, it could be good, would be it, I think.
Yeah, it could be good. And yeah, Galadon, on the other hand, not that it's not Galadon he's speaking to, but it just makes me think of Galadon. Galadon be like, no, this is not good.
Yep.
Actually, Galadon wouldn't be like, this could be bad. He'd be like, this is bad. He would be like, this is bad. Yeah.
Yeah. And at this point, I did fully expect that the soldiers were coming to swear their allegiance to Raoden. Did you expect that?
I was just agnostic about it. I was like, okay, let's see what happens. I was not expecting much. So I'm looking at your notes here that a lot happened. Important things happened very quickly. Yeah, okay. Can I just comment on the whole freaking part? It feels like everything happened very quickly in this whole
Yeah.
part. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're referring to the reflections, which I wrote a very quick chapter. It felt very rushed, I think. This particular chapter, isolated, felt like a lot of extremely important things happened very, very quickly. And that's my big complaint for the chapter, is just that.
Yeah, I was kind of knocked out by the pace suddenly. Like, okay, cool. Oh, okay, cool. Oh, wow. Okay. So yeah, that's basically how I felt reading it. Was just, okay, so is this the pace we're gonna go at for the whole part? I guess what you're doing in the end, cleaning it up.
Yeah, that's kind of what I expected too. Hello, Gray.
Hey, Gray.
Was because I know the Sanderlanche is a thing, and it certainly didn't disappoint in this book. But it's some of these things at the end I felt like could have had so much more juicy in-depth moments. Could have really stuck in some of them.
Yeah. But it was just like, okay, and then this happens, and then this happens. It was very different to the first two parts, in my opinion. But I understand everything had to be tied up neatly at the end, but it was very quickly done. There's not a lot of chapters that I feel like took their time in this whole part. So it established the fact this is like, okay, we had that pause chapter, which is 55, and this establishes for me the pace going forward. It feels like this very important things happened very quickly. I mean, he's gonna be crowned, like boom, we're already there. And it's
exactly.
like, okay, and I'm busy thinking, okay, how are we gonna deal with this disguise? Does he tell them the truth and all of that, which I guess he likes? It is a Brandon Sanderson thing. Like, you're thinking about that, and then he goes, "Ha, never mind. That's not even going to be a thing." And when he gets this the disguise taken off him, and yeah, okay, then Serene doing the speech. I don't know. It's like, I guess I liked that we got Raven's point of view from this, that he kind of explains a bit more about how these people are fickle, that he didn't actually create real belief in them. He just got them a little bit like cosmetically, basically being on his side, but not really actually believing in it. So he didn't really convert them. So it's very easy for them to jump onto Serene's speech and take that as gospel. I think they also want stability. So anything that as long as she can frame it as stability for them, they're like, fine, okay, cool, just whatever. Can we just calm down though? Because we just had like 2 million kings. So how did you feel about that? Them accepting Raiden, that he's going to be crowned and all of that, and then coming with him.
I felt like
sorry, I jumped into 57. Sorry.
Yeah, you jumped into 57, I guess. I thought the speech was cute. A little on the nose for me, particularly with Raoden's compliment at the end, which rubbed me a little bit like lampshading.
Wow, that's a good speech. What was the line?
Oh gosh, I didn't write. Let me see if I can find it quickly. Do you want to do her speech right now? Would you like to?
No, I do not. No. 56. What is it that long? Okay, let's see how long it is.
Let's see. Gosh, where is the?
So she thinks, oh, this is it. The patriarch gasped, dropping the crown as he stumbled away. Raiden looked back to the crowd, his stomach sick. He had been so close. And you know what? So had Serene when she was going to get married. She was very close. She had been so close to getting married in the same room. Okay. I'm on. Yeah, I know where my page is.
Let's see. Oh yeah, Raiden says, of course it helps when that ruler has a wife who can deliver a moving speech at precisely the right moment.
Yes. Okay, I'll read the speech.
Okay, yay.
I'll read it, okay?
Okay.
Okay, a voice came at his side. Look at him, nobles of Erelon, Serene declared. I'm sorry, when I read it, it just reads Serene. Look at the man who would have been your king. Look at his dark skin and his Elantrian face. Then tell me, does it really matter?
The crowd was quiet.
10 years you were ruled by a tyrant because you rejected Elantris. You were the privileged, the wealthy, but in a way you were the most oppressed, for you could never be secure. Were your titles worth your freedom? Okay, so she's freedom fighter. And like, he's a tyrant. Okay, yeah, okay. Wasn't okay, yeah, okay, he was a murderous. Like, I suppose. Okay, cool. But 10 years ago, this is the man who loved you when all others sought to steal your pride. I ask you this: can being an Elantrian make him any worse a king than Eodon or Telri? That's a good
She,
point.
sure, she knelt before him.
I, for one, accept his rule. Very dramatic.
Yeah, that's
But
just it. It's very
but yeah,
dramatic.
but it also uses her sway with the people. The fact that they kind of admire her. And you also have to remember the influence she has on the woman as well. So her kneeling to him is an important thing. So I can see
Right.
the power of it, but it was very convenient, and I was like, okay, oh, we're doing this. Okay, this is happening. This is totally a thing. Okay. um,
Right.
yeah, that's also what seems rushed about it, is because it's just like speech, then he gets to be king. Also, Dilaf, okay, I thought there needed to be a lot more urgency of the fact that, hello, that priest did something and then your mask came off. Hello? Like, that's a big deal.
Right.
I felt like that was it, kind of, yeah, that's a problem. Okay, let's continue. Uh, yeah.
Right. So when that was all happening, one of my notes was, wait, does Deloff know Aeon Door? Can he even do it? Um, and
Yeah.
then, yeah, uh, he ended up hissing in anger and storming off after everyone accepted Raoden. So I wrote, for a second there, I thought we would have a Deloff POV, which I would have liked quite a lot. And at the end of it all, my big question is, does Deloff know what he did? That is what I was wondering at that point.
I wasn't wondering that. I was like, okay, he knows what he did and he's upset it didn't work.
Gotcha.
But that could, there's no confirmation. That was just my perception.
Gotcha. Yeah. See, I don't know, like, if he like tapped into some anger power and just like kind of did an instinctual thing. But it could have just as easily have been he knew what he was doing and he was mad it didn't work. It's just at that moment we didn't
We don't
have.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing was whatever Keen's issue suddenly is in this chapter, I expect it's connected to why he won't have anything to do with his brother. And that does end up being true.
Yes, the fact that he's like, I will call no man king. That whole thing, that was quite a that was handled pretty well, but it was another very important thing that happened very quickly. This clash, he's like, no, I'm gonna do what you said, not because you ordered me, but because I trust you. So you're like, okay, well, that's a very important button he's pressed there, but it was very quick.
Right. And then that'll bring us to 57, correct?
Yeah, which sorry, I jumped ahead with my comments.
Sounds good. The summary. Hrathen attends Raoden's ceremony. He feels jealous of Serene's affection for him. He feels the pressure of the looming deadline of the invasion. He follows Deloff only to find that Wern had sent the monks of Dakor. The invasion has started early. So as I'm going through this chapter, Hrathen is jealous of Raoden, and he thinks that he's in love with Serene. And I wrote, wait, Hrathen is jealous? This feels very out of nowhere. Was any of that set up earlier in the book beyond maybe a mutual respect? What did you feel?
I didn't feel like it was out of nowhere. I knew that she was some sort of weird importance to him. The challenge that he brought to her made her curious to him, and he actually did. I got this feeling that he cared about her. There's been little things like, oh, then Serene would die, and that would include Serene dying. So he had those kinds of moments. So I wasn't too shocked about it. And he is also confused because he's like, why should he care? He doesn't really say, oh, I love her or whatever, but he's like, why should I care who she loves? But yeah, so it's kind of, he's experiencing this affection, this jealousy, and that shows him that he's actually got quite a lot more than respect for her, and that happens a lot of the time. If somebody says, I don't know how I feel about them, I'll say to them, okay, if they started dating someone, how would you feel? And then they go, oh no, I would hate that. Like, well, there you go. So that's basically what he's done there. And also he's also thinking like, how did she love this guy? He just came out of nowhere, and he's a decoy. So what's going on with Serene that she's got this feeling for him? So it's all of that. I don't know. It landed well for me.
Interesting. Yeah. See, I never really got more than a rivalry, a mutual respect. I could see him lamenting a comradeship, but I never really got love. But I also wonder if anything less than love in this context for the sake of this passage would have felt tepid. So I'm not sure. But
Yeah.
ultimately I'm just, so I am tepid on it, I guess. I wrote, I'm glad Hrathen is at least worried about a newly appointed king incarcerating their enemies first. It strikes me as a fundamental misunderstanding of the kind of person Raoden is, while adhering to Hrathen's own worldview and experience. Very good characterization. I mean,
yeah, like, okay, I'm on my way out because this is probably a bad thing. This, and Raoden's not like that. It's very Elend of Raoden.
Indeed. And at this point, I wrote a note to myself, frankly, Hrathen should have just made a counter speech about why he should have been king. He might have been able to make a compelling argument if he spoke before Serene. And I think that would not have been the worst
I wonder
outcome for him.
I would wonder if that's something he can even do within his power. If that would be something that Vern would be upset about, is like, you took power, you took
Yeah, but
the kingdom.
But Wern, it's for you. If I am king here now, I can officially make this a province of Shudarath.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's more complicated than that for him, in terms of there are rules. It's like I can't take over, and also he's also off balance because of this Serene thing, I think, as well. So
sure,
it wouldn't have occurred to him because he's off balance. He's like, what's even happening here? And he's thinking about his own skin. So
sure. But I do think that the comment also speaks directly to the question you had asked me just a little while ago, Kitty, about what did I think about them accepting Raoden so easily. The book does make a point of saying that the populace are just kind of sick of everything, and they're about ready to just accept whoever. They don't care. They just want normal again.
Yeah. I enjoyed that. That's what we got. So like, yeah, I understand with the Dilaf POV we would have more, but I understand why we don't get it, because then we would know a bit too much. He wants to leave the reveal to be through Raven's eyes. So yeah, I enjoyed the reveal of it. That it's just like, it was like chaotic. We're like, okay, this is happening now, and now we have monsters. Great.
Right.
Yeah.
I wrote, very curious to see where Dilaf is going, wondering if it has something to do with Jesker, maybe. Might explain his use of Aeon Door. So I was a bit off there.
Yeah, you were thinking that he's gone off, but it's actually like, no, don't worry. And then you're like, oh wow, the invasion starts. Okay, so that made you realize where he had gone.
Yes. And I wrote, oh wow, the invasion starts early, and it seems like Dilaf knew where Hrathen didn't. Interesting. And then for my final reflections, I put, I like that the invasion starts early. I imagine there's been some communication between Wern and Deloff somehow, though I don't know how. Annoyed by Wraithen being jealous of Serene, I still don't think there's been interaction or foreshadowing about it for it to feel earned. So that's where I ended on that chapter, which Kitteh disagrees with, which I'm more than fine with. I'm freely open to the possibility that I'm reading it a less than strong way. Then we get to 58. And I've got a lot of notes here, I see. Chapter 58. Raoden is captured by Deloff. Serene sends weapons to the Elantrians using the beggar Hoyd. She stumbles across the monks of Dakor, destroying a seat. He rushes to Keen's. She's rescued by Keen. She realizes that Keen is Driok Crushed Throat, and that he's Evanteo's older brother. Evanteo stole his throne. Deloff reveals himself as a Gragnet, a superior to a Gjorn, and that he is of Dakor. Dakor has magic that changes a person's bones. He reveals Wraithen was supposed to warn of impending doom, not to convert. Deloff intends to wipe out Elantris. Boom, boom, boom.
Yep, that's it. When we have descriptions of these bones and things, I was like, okay, that's got to do something with the like symbolism. The symbols will be like there's aeons involved here. I was immediately thinking that, but I didn't know how they had access to it.
Definitely thought that there was magic involved, and that is something that is like we already knew that there were the Jeskeri mysteries, but the world, it seems, is going to become a lot more magical by the end of this, which I thought was neat, but we'll get to that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
the Keen revelation, that was cool.
Yeah. So I recently played Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and it's a similar plot to the Keen storyline, where I think it's King Wenceslas comes to power, but he's like totally disinterested in being King of Bohemia, or he's just like really bad at it. So one of his relatives, who's a much better king, comes in, and he's like, he basically starts some sort of rebellion, and then that's basically where the character gets to go in and do a bunch of stuff. So Evanteo stole Keen's throne. I lost some respect for Evanteo.
Yes, I was rather like, excuse me, damn. And that's also you get a bit you reel a little bit at that, because of how much Serene loves her dad. So having
very
her
much so,
and she loves her uncle as well. So
yeah.
So you're like, wow, that's something to deal with.
Yeah. Hello, tall being. The mental image of the bones twisting underneath their skin is still one of my favorite images Sanderson has managed to conjure up for me. Just so visceral and body horror-esque. I like it. Yeah, these Dakor monks all feel very demonic in very intimidating ways. Yeah.
Very crazy. Disturbing in a good way. Very creative.
Yeah.
So we've got here, you've said here, curious to see if he ends up helping Raoden. So you're talking about Raoden in some way. I don't think he will, though. Ha ha ha! Why didn't you think he... Yeah, in your reflections. So you've said, I like the King revelation more than Deloff revelation, but all in all, not a bad chapter. Good guy, Raoden, wanting to convert rather than kill. Best character, really. Curious to see if he ends up helping Raoden in some way. I don't think he will, though.
Right. So I hadn't I knew there was a possibility of Hrathen switching sides. It didn't occur to me that he would do it to help Serene, which I suppose it makes sense that he would go on to do that, considering the realization of love.
But no, I think that realization of love is, I'm feeling like you're overstating it at the same time. So
Maybe a bit.
it's not like, oh my god, I love Serene. Oh, I just want to be with her. No, it's kind of like he cares about her, and it's beyond just this mutual respect. It's that he wants her to be alive. It's not he wants to be with her. It's that he just cares about her. And he's also dealing with what's happening with his faith and all of that. That's all happening around him. We did say in the first two parts, we did speak about, we definitely think that he's going to have some sort of change. Like it seemed like he had certain, he was good in so many ways that you're like, oh, he's probably going to land up changing sides in some way. So I knew that was, I guess I was just more on Raven's side. I was like, yeah, he's on a journey and he's going to land up in the right place.
I do like Hrathen quite a lot.
Yeah.
And as I'm going through, well, you know what? Why don't we read the love segment quickly, just so it's out there in the stream?
Okay. What page is that?
On mine, it's 558.
What
Yeah,
chapter?
it's the very start of 57.
Okay.
Hrathen eyed this pretender, feeling an odd surge of hatred as he saw the way that Serene looked at the man. Hrathen could see the love in her eyes. Could that foolish adoration really be serious? Where had this man come from so suddenly? How had he managed to capture Serene, who was normally so discerning? Regardless, she had apparently given her heart to him. Logically, Hrathen knew his jealousy was foolish. Hrathen's own relationship with the girl had been one of antagonism, not of affection. Why should he be jealous of another man? No, Hrathen needed to be level-headed. Only 1 month remained until the armies of United Derethi would wash over Erelon, slaughtering the people, Serene included. Hrathen had to work quickly. There was more. Why isn't it here? Where is it? We got the jealousy.
Mm-hmm. And there I get his kind of like, oh, that's foolish, because he is feeling it and going, wait, that's dumb. So it's new to him as well. You know, like he's also confused by it.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Pretty sure there was more. I have skipped into an alternate universe where there was less. That's my answer to that.
Maybe it's in a later chapter where it's stated harder, I suppose. I do remember in this, he does actually realize there is another line where it's like, basically, if he doesn't stop this, Serena is gonna die.
Oh yeah, maybe it is in a later chapter. Okay, anyway, moving on. So for the notes for chapter 58, I wrote, the fighting has started. That's good. That they seem to be magical demons mixed with Delof being able to manipulate the door is noteworthy. I wonder if Wern may be an Elantrian, perhaps, or that he has a way to grant powers to folks, explaining Delof, maybe.
I was also wondering about Delof just being a special case, because he hates the Elantrians so much. So is there some reason that he got some sort of, he was taken by the Shard, and then he went to Wern and did something. So I had some theories around there, like it's something about him, but didn't have any answers.
Right.
Yeah.
I wrote, I expect the Elantrians will come to the rescue with their magic. Because, well...
Exactly. But just the timing, yeah.
Yeah,
but
I mean, they
were going to fight these guys.
Yeah. Because they set up that the Elantrians had to learn that stuff quickly. So I was expecting them. I wrote, "Oh wow, Deloff was turned into one of them. Very interesting." And oof, he just got hit hard. That's gonna hurt forever. So that's
Yes.
Raoden getting whacked in the back of the head.
Yeah.
And it ends up making him essentially permanently dizzy. I wrote in all caps, "Oh my God, Hoyt is here."
Yes. That was fun.
Yep. So Hoyd looking apprehensive at Elantris and him as a beggar seems to contrast with his appearance with Kelsier, where he seemed much more self-assured.
Yeah. Hoyt. Yeah, I was just so pleased that he actually had the name Hoyt. I was like, thank you. I don't have to think too hard about this. You're giving me the answer.
Yeah. It might be skipping ahead a little bit, but I feel like that plot thread ended up being dropped in this book, though, because they kind of skip over the death of New Elantris. It just kind of happens off screen. It's like, what, did Hoyd make it? Did they even put up a fight? What happened there? And that's, again, an issue of the book just barreling through to the end.
I'm curious to see how much of the end, how our editions differ, because there's lots of extra bits at the end that are then read. Not extra bits, like there's some other notes, but then there is an end that involves Hoyd.
Is there? Did I miss? Okay, I got the epilogue. I get a glossary. I get a preview of Mistborn. Sometimes I worry that I'm not the hero everyone thinks I am. And that's what I get. Do you have stuff I don't?
This doesn't have any heading, okay? I guess it goes, yeah, it doesn't even let's see. Postscript, and then it says Hoyd the beggar sat on the side of the mountain, carefully unwrapping the bandages from his face. So, and he's by the crystalline pool, and eventually, I'll read this to you.
Please, first time I'm hearing it. I'm excited.
I was wondering as I read it, I'm like, am I supposed to be reading this? But I was like, it's in my book, and it'll be interesting to see what was in your book.
Yes, please read it.
Yeah, not now though, right? What do you want?
Well, wait. How long is it?
1, 2. It's just wait. Is that? It's about 2 pages.
Do you mind reading it?
No. Hoyd the beggar sat on the side of the mountain, carefully unwrapping the bandages from his face. A small crystalline pool filled a cleft in the rock beside him. So by this point, I understand where he is. Yeah.
Yes, and Tall Being says, if I remember right, the 10th anniversary edition of Elantris has an extra Hoyd scene that Sanderson added as a way to add some more Cosmere connectivity, so there's a chance you have an older copy. That makes sense.
I think mine, yeah, because it's like got the new cover design.
Okay. Nice. Okay, so he's sitting at the crystalline pool.
Perhaps waist deep at its lowest point, it barely counted as a pool. Hoyd had taken baths in tubs larger than that. So he's done lots of stuff. Okay. Like he's a beggar here, but he's taken baths and things like that. Okay. Beneath him, the city of Elantris glowed with a splendid light. Spoiler! Soft, reassuring, the light seemed to ascend high into the sky to the unknown god's domain itself. So unknown gods is unknown god. Okay, so it's this domain of the god. Unknown god is capitalized. Okay, just so you know that.
Cool.
So he knows something about the unknown god's domain itself. Okay, which is high in the sky. Hoyd finally got the bandages off his face, then whipped his gloves off his hands, and with a dramatic gesture, and thrust both arms out before himself, fingers splayed. So he's already actually quite interesting, just as a character.
I like him. Also, I totally feel like I'm in Roshar right now, being read to by a woman.
Well, there you go. Reading the post, the little notes underneath. Okay, his arms and hands looked exactly as they had when he'd first put on the bandages a day earlier. Damn, he said. You didn't honestly expect to find yourself transformed. I kind of did, Hoyd admitted, looking over his hands, hoping to spot something glowing beneath the skin. He failed to locate even the faintest glimmer of illumination. So is he trying to be an Elantrian? He's trying to transform into an Elantrian or something. He's here doing his own things, trying to get some sort of magic, it seems.
Okay, so he was dressed like a leper, bandages and everything. He took it off, and he's not an Elantrian. That's what we get from that.
Yes, but he was expecting to. And there's this other voice that is saying, you didn't honestly expect to find yourself transformed. So he's like, no, I did.
Okay.
Yeah. You would have felt the effects earlier. And now remember, we the lost people are called Hoed, right? So he says,
Hode,
you
yeah.
Hoed. Yeah. You would have felt the effects earlier, Hoed. That's the word that's used here. And he goes, Hoed. That's a rather important distinction here. That's what I said. Hoed. So,
Okay.
I think that's interesting. He's made a little connection. As in Sanderson, has made a connection between Hoyd and Hoed. So lost ones and Hoyd. Never mind, Hoyd said, standing up and absently brushing off his trousers, which sent up a cloud of dust. Beggar costume. Right. So this made me think, okay, well, how many costumes does Bro have? So he's like, okay, he's got to keep track of them. Okay. He turned to regard his companion, a hovering dark sphere about the size of a melon. It somehow sucked in the light and didn't have distinct edges Hoyd could make out. It just kind of blended out into the air, warping everything around it like a stone dropped on a sheet of silk stretched tight. So it's like this anti what are they called? Not aeons. The like Ian.
Oh, yes. Hold on, let me find it. Seons, a Seon.
Yeah. So it's like a weird kind of Seon. It's like the darkness. It's like the opposite of a Seon.
Interesting.
Like, gee, that's how I saw it, because it somehow sucked in the light and didn't have distinct edges. Hoyd could make out. Sorry, I'm changing page there. That's why my reading so bad. Oh yes, it was ringed with a pattern of misty symbols. They ran They ran like a hoop from its top around the side to the bottom, then back up to the top. Well, the sphere said, now what? I once ate a live frog, This makes me like, he's an entertaining guy, this guy. Hoyd replied, tucking the bandages away into a hidden pocket. Well, it was mostly like a frog. Had an extra leg or two and was violet in color, but basically the same thing, slimy, amphibious, etc. So he is very jestery. He's funny. And I'm like, why are you bringing this up? And then I'm like, oh, are we going to get a point? Don't tell us this in chat, but like, is there some point where there is a character eating something like this? And that's like the little breadcrumb he gave us. That's all I was thinking.
We're going to have to keep an eye out for that.
I'm certain it tasted awful, says the Sion thing. Perfectly nauseating in every regard. It wriggled as it went down. Oh, I really don't appreciate that. Thank you. He shivered. When I reflect upon my illustrious life, that moment inevitably surfaces as the nadir of my experience of so far. So I don't know what that is. So we have a word there, nadir. I thought I'd found mine, the sphere said, and then I met you. Really good. I enjoyed this. This was fun. This is the last bit that I read, so it was nice. It really was a nice ending for me. It was actually quite funny. It's like the post-credit scene, basically.
Oh, excellent. That was so fun.
No, it's not done. It's not done.
Oh.
Good execution.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. Good execution, Hoyd noted, stepping up to the rocky edge of the pool. Unexpected and snappy. I thought your kind wasn't allowed a sense of humor. Nonsense, the sphere said. You think this isn't poignant and You think there isn't a poignant and undeniable humor in the fact that we are so reliant upon humankind? The entire universe laughs, Hoyd. He still calls him Hoyd. We'd have to be deaf not to hear it. I love this thing and I want to know more about it. It's great. Okay.
Well,
Hoyd's
Raoden is determined to get down to the mystery of the Seons at the end of this. That was very deliberately not answered. And now I assume Cosmere related reasons.
Yeah. And if you look at the glossary, Sion is about service. So I see what I see what he did there. Okay. So the sphere said, Frog, I think of that moment, Hoyd replied, holding up one finger, and I realized something important. That your most awful experiences are never the ones you're anticipating? No, but I'm sure I can use that idea someday. So thank you. Okay, so I'm expecting that to make an appearance somehow. This word, this turn of phrase, the most awful experiences are never the ones you're anticipating. Like, has our suspect said this in Way of Kings? So thank you. Hoyd took a deep breath, looking out over the shining city, brilliant even in the face of the dawning daylight. No, I realized that as terrible, revolting, and miserable as that day was for me, at least I wasn't the frog. That's so cute. He's very cute, this boy. This man. It's just witty. Okay. He fell silent. A moment later, the sphere chuckled. Yes, they did have a wider range of emotions than Hoyd had assumed. He needed to be careful not to let interactions with one member of a race, even a synthetic race, color his view of them all. So he's like, I shouldn't be a racist. Okay. He turned back to the sphere. There is beauty in every disaster, friend. You see, all of this could come back. There is beauty in every disaster, friend, if you are clever enough to find it.
Okay. Opportunist.
Is that so? You have failed utterly, Hoyd. You are not one of them. You haven't the powers you promised us you'd gain. Ooh, so he's got this like
so he's trying to become an Elantrian.
Yeah, but he's trying to get and he's promised us you haven't the powers you promised us you'd gain. Okay, you've accomplished nothing. What beauty is there in this situation? So you've accomplished nothing, he says. Hoyd stepped out over the pool with one foot. You know what's coming. You do not know me well, friend. So I will forgive you such a silly question. The beauty? It lies in the fact that there are secrets that remain unknown. He smiled broadly. And I love a good puzzle. He leaned forward and dropped into the small pool with a splash, then vanished. That's how it ends.
Ooh. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Where do you go when you disappear?
And we do have a view of what it's like to go in that pool, but that's Raoden. I don't know.
Yeah.
And he's just left behind that synthetic race or whatever, and he's just like, oh yeah, I made you promises, whatever, and then just he heats himself out. What happens to him then? And where does he go? And that makes me go, oh, he's Hoyd, and then he goes straight to the Mistborn world.
Yeah, it's very much like that thing in Thor that Thor uses to travel between worlds with Heimdall.
Yeah. I don't know the name, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's not the Rainbow Bridge, but the other thing. Anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you for
off or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for reading that to me. That was very exciting.
It was fun.
And it now I have to revisit all of my pool theories. Anyway.
I don't think so. I think it actually goes with it. A lot of it.
I think so too.
Anyway, Hoyd is here. That's where we were in 15.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Sending the Elantrians weapons was smart. Again, that's not really paid off like I would have hoped.
Yeah.
But it was a smart thing to do.
And I'm glad that she tried to do something.
Yeah. And then Sereni gets pinned by the demons, and at this point I was expecting Hrathen to save her.
Well, you did but you did say I'm expecting Raiden to save her. If not him, then Keen. Oh, yep, it was Keen. So that's your
Yes. And that was my note. And then at one point, I believe it's Serene that says, what are those things? And I chuckled, imagining the book just changing genre to that of a zombie survival book instead of a fantasy.
Why not?
Yeah, didn't expect that to happen. I just thought it would have been funny for such a change in tone.
Yeah.
I liked the Keen revelations. I think we went through that when we went over my reflections.
Dislike it. Why did you say
What?
I don't like it? In your notes, you said I don't dislike it instead of I like it.
Yeah, your audio went a little fuzzy. So to be clear, I wrote, ooh, Keen revelations. I don't dislike it. And it's just how I speak.
Okay.
I suppose.
Okay, so you weren't saying you weren't making a I don't not like it kind of on purpose. You were just like, that's just how I speak. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like maybe I don't like it enough to outright state I like it, but I also don't dislike it. But I like it. I thought it was neat. I like that dynamic, that relationship, that kind of story. Would love to know more on that.
My microphone input. I hope it works. It helps. Has anything changed?
No, I mean it's better now-ish.
I'm hoping. Okay.
I'm hoping. When Deloff yells out, "Do not question me," to Hrathen, presumably, I wrote, okay, so I guess he became a Gragdet. When did this happen? I didn't write it with that attitude that I just gave it. I was more like genuinely curious. When did this happen?
When did this happen?
Yep. I wrote, so was Deloff always from Dakor?
Yep.
And then I write, okay, so I like the Deloff revelations. Was it foreshadowed? I don't recall, though I will say it makes me wonder how meaningful any of their battles for control with each other really mattered. Hrathen was completely in the dark on the Dakor monks coming, so it feels like Deloff was just wasting his time trying to pretend to take control from Hrathen. Why not just let Hrathen do what he's gonna do? And then I
Those
wrote
are valid questions.
Yeah, and it's like these aren't complaint questions or anything like that. It's more like we just got this revelation. What's going on? In fact, I didn't write it, but the revelation really did make me want to go back and revisit each interaction the two of them had now with the added context. And then I wrote the quote, if we destroy them, then we end the heresy of Elantris forever. And then I wrote, not a bad plan, to be honest.
Evil, Dorcas! But, I guess from their point of view, it's not a bad plan.
Yes. And then that brings us to 59, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Reflections. Nope. Summary. Raoden, dizzy, is brought to Keen's. Serene and a few others step onto a balcony to say goodbye, but the monks climb the walls and capture her. Deloff calls Eventeo and gives him an hour to meet with his armada. Hrathen calls Deloff a monster. Deloff stabs Raoden again. Raoden goes hoed. Deloff is going to bring the town to Elantris, then burn the city. So a light, breezy chapter.
Just destroy them all. Yeah, light, breezy chapter. Just whole ass genocide. Thanks. Whatever. He's super evil.
Yep. I wrote, oh, they brought him to Keen's. I was expecting they were bringing him to Elantris. So that makes sense. Oh man, he's thinking about how he's going to be dizzy forever. That was a bummer to read.
Yeah, nausea is not fun.
Yeah. I wrote, "Welp, so much for saying goodbye," in all caps, because they end up all getting captured.
Yeah.
And then his Hode mantra, "Failed, my love, failed," was very sad.
Yeah. It's you're like, okay, you know that he's coming back from it somehow. You know that, but it doesn't
Yes.
make it any bad. You're like, you don't. Yeah.
You still have to go through it. Even
Mhm.
it's what makes stories so fun. Even if you know that the prince is going to get the princess at the end, you still have to go with them on the journey and experience what they experience along the way.
Yeah, exactly.
My reflections for the chapter were another chapter that felt just a little bit rushed. I know things are moving quickly, so I give it some leeway. Otherwise, exciting. Raoden going Hode was sad. Good thing Serene sent along weapons. And again, that's me still expecting a payoff for that.
She tried. That's about it.
Yeah.
That's just the payoff.
Looks like I have a lot of notes for 60. We'll start with the
By
quite
the
a
way,
lot.
I'm not putting your notes in the diagram. I'm just doing reflections. Do you want me to be putting the notes in? Because they're fragmented. So I don't know. What do you want?
You are the diagram mistress, so I leave it to your judgment. You don't have to.
Okay.
Chapter 60. Galadin and Karata survived the massacre of New Elantris. They carry Raoden to the lake. Lukel contemplates fighting with Edian. Lukel contemplates fighting while Edian counts steps while imprisoned. The Dakor monks teleport to Teod. Hrathen shudders knowing that the teleportation cost a life to perform. Hrathen feels like a prisoner. They wait. Galadon mourns and curses Raoden for giving him hope. Lukel tries to comfort his family and those around him while the monks gather firewood to burn them. He sees Shuden practicing to fight when the time comes. He grabs a table leg to join the fight as well. Raoden floats in unconsciousness. Delof tells Hrathen of a love he brought to Elantris when she had fallen sick. The Elantrians did the spell wrong. She withered and screamed in pain, eventually jumping off the wall of Elantris, but still surviving. He ended up burning her. Delof still hears her. Galadon and Karata arrive at the lake. Edian, revealed as an Elantrian, walks to the pile of Elantrians waiting to be burnt. Delof had been the one to convince Hrathen to leave Dakor as a child. Raoden thinks on Aeon Reo and Elantris. The monks pour oil over the bodies. Delof taunts Serene. Raoden pulls himself out of the Hode just in time to shock Galadon and drop him into the lake. Davina says, Hode phase seems to be longer than I thought.
My Lukel is a pub with one-eyed tavern wench. He's talking about his local. Davina is talking about their local. What's it? They haven't read this. That's what all the jokes are, just from what we said. And Pig Leg, yeah, you see, we got pirates here as well, by the way, in this book. Keen is a pirate. Yeah, he's a keen pirate.
Let's see. So we get a Galadon POV. I think this is the first one. Yeah.
Yeah, he's carrying. Is it the first one ever? No.
With Galadon, I don't recall. I think it might be.
Like it, but yeah, it might be. I guess it's because we spend a lot of time thinking about what Galadon is doing and whatever. That's why I feel like I've I've been in his mind before, but I think I'm wrong. Yeah, I think this might be the only one.
Yeah. And basically, I wrote Galadon weeping is very sad.
Mm-hmm. But you know what I loved is the way that even the spark of hope, that he's actually so irritated, but he still has a spark of hope the whole way
Yeah,
through.
there's a passage at some point specifically about hope and how it's like this little rat inside of him that just keeps gnawing away and won't
Mm-hmm.
go away. And it was started by Raoden. His POVs are well done.
Yeah.
Planning to leave Elantris would have been a decent plan. Yeah, I think it was. It was. It's sad it didn't come to fruition. I wrote in all caps, wait, the attack happened and they all went Hode? What happened to the weapons?
That these guys are just so overpowered. That's the thing. The weapons just do thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I wrote, wait, teleportation is a thing now? Oh, at the cost of a life. Neat.
Yeah, that helps it not just completely change everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that easy.
Yep. And it shows a callousness toward life. And like I've complained about phones in fantasy and how it can be very easy to create a bunch of problems because of it. Teleportation is a similar thing, and putting that limiter on it, I think, is good.
We do learn a little bit about how what's her name, Dilaf has actually used this to travel like 15 minutes away. So yeah, he's a bad guy.
Very bad guy. Very insane.
Yeah.
I wrote a quote, Kay might be peaceful, but it was the peace of death, not of serenity. Thought that was a really good line within context. Referring to the city, which was basically empty because the Decor monks have been, they're all about to be killed in Elantris.
They've just done everybody, and the townspeople, everyone is there. Nothing. Have you said anything about Lucal? I guess it's just like, okay, he's there. That's it.
Pretty much that.
We have up Adian revelation. Did you have that? Yes, there we go.
Which one? About footsteps?
No, wait. You just go to Raoden HO. Raoden Hode POV.
What you're gonna skip over when I wrote, "Oof, this Galadon POV is heart wrenching."
I thought we went over it, but yes, it is very heart wrenching.
It was so heart wrenching I had to write it twice. Then I wrote the Raoden Hode POV was neat, and it's basically he's in his unconsciousness, and he's like it's like just below the surface of it.
And that's giving us an idea of what all the Hode are feeling. That's what they have been experiencing.
Yes. I wrote, ooh, Dilaf lore, neat. So it sounds like the Aeons had changed while they did the healing, but Dilaf does not mention the earthquake. Curious.
Yes, so I was wondering about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's what happened. I got the sense, by the end of the book that it was basically just an incompetent doctor messing up.
Yeah. I did, but I did also think like, wait, was it? I was trying to place it in time to see if it goes with, with the what's it, the fall, basically. But it actually it seems like that happened way before that. Yeah.
Correct. And then we get to Adian reveal. Kitteh called it. But like, why the steps to the body? Does he not know what's going on? Did he not feel the slash? What's up?
Is
I
he kind of hoed?
I found Aedean, particularly in this last part, to be off-putting. Sort of a little Deus Ex Machina-ish.
Yeah,
for my taste.
Yeah, but just for a young adult fiction, it works.
Yeah. Just
he was
I'm
very
south of neutral.
Yeah, Deus Ex Machina is a good word for him. Yeah,
I feel like Sanderson tried to set him up for it, but this idea, but he just didn't stick the landing with it. Like this idea that if he's been to a place, he knows inherently how many steps it takes to get there is a big stretch for me.
Yeah, we needed a bit more of that. Yeah, like all he really gave us was he says numbers and steps.
Yeah,
like he doesn't just go, oh, this many steps from here to, I guess. Yeah, it should. I wanted a little bit more for that to feel good.
And all of the steps mentioning in this book up to this point have been directed toward Elantris. And I thought Sanderson was setting up an Elantris specific connection. So for him to at the end basically say, oh, I don't remember, but I guess I've been to Tiod, and that's how I know how many steps it is there. It was just not great.
Yeah, like he could have done things like this many steps from the bathroom to, or from mom's room to my room, from mom's room to the kitchen, like something like that.
Yeah, that would have helped.
He's kind of obsessed with the distances between places.
Agreed, 100%. Making someone give up their life instead of walking 15 minutes. Oof. Yeah, another big kick the
dog moment. Don't say kick the cat. I can't even deal with that.
Oh no.
Dogs are bigger, okay? So don't kick animals, but yeah.
Don't kick animals. Merciful Domi. What has he figured out? Raoden has figured something out, I think is what that was in reference to.
Yes. As he like wakes up, he's like, yeah, he's figured out some key point, and we in Sanderson fashion, he's like, haha, I'm not gonna let you figure it out until you turn the page.
Right.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, because he's like, and you're like, what is it? It's the same sort of thing as like Vin knew what to do, and you're like, and
I wrote exactly.
What has he figured out? Question mark, exclamation point.
That is what I wrote. Wait, did Deloff stab Serene in the back? No, I think he just put the knife against her. So yeah, that bit of prose, if I recall correctly, confused me just a little bit. But naturally, it was the latter.
I love your notes, yeah.
I wrote in all caps, no, he fell in the pool. And then in normal caps, it can't be too late. Scream the answer to Galadon before you dissolve, at least.
I didn't think that. I thought that something was going to happen. He was going to resurface from the pool there. I kind of knew that, but I was like, we're going to have to experience that and see where it goes for him to come back,
Yeah. Very much so. No, I knew this wouldn't be his end.
Yeah, we knew that. I think, like you said, we knew this quite well. Whoopsie, from the beginning.
Yeah. So my reflections for that chapter are
a lot happened this chapter.
60. Yeah, a lot happened this chapter, and it didn't feel nearly as rushed as some of the earlier chapters in this section. Loved the end. Very interested to see what happens to Raoden.
Yeah, so that's weird, right? Because a lot of important stuff happens, but the pace works.
Correct.
At this point. You're like, you can't go slower than this because everything is is happening. We can't slow down now. The momentum's there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's why it feels more what do you call it? Like more natural or easier to deal with.
Both. There
Mm.
was also a little bit of, I guess, time jumping in those earlier parts, like with the jumping to the coronation,
Yes, true.
then characters jumping back home, and so on. That was a little jarring. Here,
Yeah.
everything was more or less happening at the same time.
Yeah, in real time. So yeah, it works.
Yeah. And then that brings us to 61, yes? Hrathen punches Deloff just as he begins slicing Serene's throat. He warns Eventeo that Fjordell is coming to massacre, not dominate. He says he'll save Serene. The pool wants to give Raoden release, but he isn't ready yet. Shuden attacks in a magical way. Lukel grabs a sword. Hrathen fights the monks. Eventeo sends in his honor guard. Serene seems to trust Hrathen. Raoden emerges from the lake. Serene's fencers join the fight in Elantris. Soon, however, they begin to lose the fight. Raoden sprints as fast as he can to Kay, Caledon trying to keep up. Hrathen removes his armor to blend in. Serene is surprised he wore real armor. She notes his covered arm. Raoden is running on borrowed time and painful legs. A monk soldier throws a torch on the pile of Elantrians. Raoden starts dragging a stick around Kay's border wall. Galadon and Karata determine to make sure he finishes his work. Galadon falls. Karata is beheaded, but Raoden finishes his work and is bathed in the door. His pain vanishes. The border towns begin to alight. 1 square, 4 circles, Aeon Reo, the spirit of Elantris. Raoden and Galadon transform. Raoden gives the soldiers 1 hour to leave. Lukel is about to be killed when the city alights. Elantrians step away from the pyre. Raoden saves the group in Elantris. He declares Elantris restored. Lukel faints. Deloff is angry. So much for us to talk about.
Yes. Okay, wait. Yeah. Okay, I'm at the bottom there with Deloff is angry. I'm trying to remember. So go about it.
Okay, so my first note was, wow, Hrathen actually decided to fight Deloff, and ordering Eventeo was a bold move. Ha ha ha, I put. It's fair to say that had been building, yeah?
Yeah.
Nonetheless, exciting to watch. Very brave of him.
Raoden, it's a payoff. Him changing, him finally acting. He's tried to keep it together, but he's like, no, I can't. You can't continue this way. Yeah.
Yeah. I was a little surprised over the coming chapters. I don't remember if I wrote a note or not about it, how quickly Serene was willing to trust Hrathen. Like they were pretty comfortable working together. I might have expected Serene to be like, just because you saved me doesn't mean you've earned my trust. I'm going my own way. I'm hiding and I'm going to find my dad or something like that. I enjoyed what did end up happening. I'm just noting that I was surprised as well.
I was glad because I would be a bit irritated with Serene because I'd be like, let's just could you just like, you don't have time. You don't have time for this. And bro just basically, obviously it's dramatic irony because she doesn't know the ins and outs of this religion, but
right.
He just attacked he just went against all his belief for his past, for his life. Okay. He's supposed to just obey. That's his whole religion, essentially. And this guy's above him, and that's it. He's not allowed to have his own judgment or his own thoughts about this person. It's supposed to just be authority over him, and he's supposed to accept it. Now, the fact that he goes and attacks Deloff is a massive, massive thing. So it makes me, as the reader, trust him. And I suppose I can forgive Serene for trusting him because of just the situation she's in. She's got nothing else going
Sure.
on.
I think
Mm.
I think it would have been an aggravating character trait. Like if she
Yes.
did fight back a bit, I would have been annoyed with her.
Yeah.
So I'm not advocating that she do it, but
Mm.
I also think it would have been entirely in keeping with her character for her
Yeah.
to want to go her own way or something like
Mm.
that.
Yeah.
Um, okay, Raoden can refuse the pool. Cool.
Yeah.
Lee Sin Lukel.
What is that?
And I chuckled.
What's the
Lee Sin is a character in League of Legends, if I recall
oh,
correctly. He's a blind monk,
oh,
karate master.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, but you're talking of it's not Lucal, it's the Shuden, you mean?
Oh, whoops. Yep, that is what I meant.
Because
Yep,
Shuden's
yep, yep, yep.
doing his war dance and then he properly punches and has like a proper quite a big effect on the monster guys. So it's definitely magic.
Yes, and building on that, and it'll even be highlighted later in the book itself, I wrote, this world suddenly feels a lot more magical than it had for most of the book. Interesting.
Mm. Everything is
So,
wide open. Yeah.
yeah. Interesting that Serene. Okay, so yeah, this is the conversation we just had. Interesting that Serene seems to trust Hrathen. I would have imagined she'd make it more difficult for him. We don't need to rehash that because we just had that conversation. I wrote, the pool is made of something thicker. What does that mean?
I don't know. I don't know, past talkers.
No, I mean, I know what the note means. It means that the pool, the liquid in the pool is not water. It is something thicker than water.
Yeah. No, I know that.
What?
I don't know what it is.
Okay. Mm. We don't get okay. So the lore we get for this pool in this book is one: the water is thick. The thing that wanted him to dissolve was parental in nature, and now we know that Hoyd disappeared into it and reappeared elsewhere. Is there
Well,
anything else we know?
we assume that he
We
appeared elsewhere. Yeah.
we assume. Is there anything else we know about this pool?
It's waist deep. It's small. It's not like it's like a bath, basically. It's not a
Okay,
huge lake.
gotcha. Yeah. There were less revelations insofar as we're trying to figure out what's up with the Well of Ascension
Yes.
than I would have hoped for. I was really, really hoping for something revelatory in Elantris about the Well of Ascension.
Nope, just a hint.
Pretty much that. Nevertheless, my next note was called it in the fencers fighting, sort of.
Yes, I had that thought when it happened. I'm like, there you go, Dorcas. I was like, there it is. You did say that they were going to do that, and but then it's like, oopsie, they can't. The way you said, sort of, is it because they don't really save the day? They kind of lose.
Correct.
Yeah.
So they lose, and I like that they lose because
Me
they
too.
weren't like that well trained. And I expected them to succeed at least a little bit. So it felt very real what ended up happening, and I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, same. I was like, I would be quite out of sorts if they had just been like Mary suing all over the place. Like, I was.
Exactly.
It was earned because like yeah, they stood up and they tried and they won and in this whole like thing of events, chain of events, every moment really does count. So they've done a big deal. They've done a lot of damage just by stalling. So yeah.
Exactly. So that was better than I would have expected. which is
Yeah.
a compliment, to be clear.
Mhm.
I wrote, I'm along for the ride now. Not too many thoughts, just eager to stick with the momentum of the story.
That was me too. I was just like, let's go. I read the whole part in just one day. It
Nice.
obviously it was pretty short, but yeah, it was very easy to get stuck into it and just sit and read it the whole way because of
Yeah.
how fast the pace was.
Yep. I wrote, oh shit, the wall theory was more right than I thought. I was satisfied with the earthquake. Whoa. So back when we first started this, I had presumed something to the effect of a load-bearing wall in Elantris had been knocked down, and that's
Mhm,
what caused the issue. I had more or less sensed that the architecture was integral to the
mhm,
Aeons, but it did not occur to me that the outlying towns were part of that design. I thought it was the city and just the city. So
mhm.
this was really gratifying to read, an
Yes.
expansion of what I had predicted.
This another thing. I'm sorry if we don't want to talk about this. Just tell me if we don't. But so I went back and I looked at because he describes, the way the shape of the cities and things. So I went and looked at the map to see what he was talking about because there's the 4 cities around Elantris, and that's what he's basically trying to fix with his line in the sand. And we've had it's not like it's not unearned because he's explained enough to us about the door that literally a line in the sand could change everything, so it's fine. um, but then it just made me think of maybe it's because when I got to the end with Hoyd and all of that and all of it being connected. I was like, oh, the land having something to do with power and things like that. It made me think of Way of Kings, where the ardent is showing the way the cities look, and they
Yeah,
yeah,
semantics.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that just all echoed, it all rhymed for me.
yeah,
Mm,
very much so. That is heavily in my mind now,
mm,
particularly as we're going through Way of Kings.
yeah.
There seems to be intentional overlapping there, I
Hmm.
think.
Yeah.
Not to mention the soul stamps, which are a
Hmm.
design
Yeah,
which
the
takes
whole idea.
place in the Elantris world, I believe. Um,
Yeah, soul stamps, and oh gosh, well, when we get to that part of the book with just I suppose Raiden's musings and things,
mhm,
we can talk a bit more about it. Yeah.
sure. Um, I wrote, ooh, poor Karata and Galadon. I'm sure they can walk it off when Raoden is finished. Um, and then
No.
uh,
Mm,
I'll say it in a moment. Raoden and Galadon transform, but no mention of Karata. So I am
mhm,
unironically very upset with Sanderson in this book. Um,
mhm,
Karata deserved better. Full stop. She had such great characterization earlier on in the book, and then they
mhm.
just relegated her to her head was chopped off, and that's basically all that's going to be said about it. She'll get a tombstone at the end. No,
Yeah, she
so
sacrificed.
yeah, she Sanderson should have done more with Karata. She was such a good character.
Mhm.
So
What do you want him to have done with her? Just more.
just more.
Hmm.
Hell, could have given Raoden a love triangle, maybe, or if not that, just give us her trying to lead Elantris while Raoden's off doing stuff. Um, I don't know. I don't. Yeah, there were. Uh, anyway, she
Mhm.
was criminally underserved. My
Mhm.
reflections for the chapter were hey, change my
Oh,
settings to accept raids. How do I do that?
oh, that's in studio. Um,
Okay, I'm in studio. Uh,
uh, shit. Yeah.
settings, channel. Advanced
it's
settings, feature eligibility, upload permissions.
no, that's
Right,
uploads.
community.
Yeah, permissions. Yeah, there you go.
It's in permissions.
It might. Yeah, it should be. Let me ask Rock.
Okay.
We don't have time. What's Good Wednesday is coming. Zaxi.
How are you, Zax? See.
It takes me a long time to get
Live
across.
directs. All channels can redirect to my content.
But
That
that's
sounds like
redirect. Yeah, but it's apparently. I don't know about redirect.
live
Huh.
redirects. Allows other creators to send their viewers to any of your live streams or premieres. Your content can only be selected for live redirect if it's upcoming or in progress. Okay.
Yeah.
Settings saved. I think I did that, Zax.
Mm.
I don't know if it's not going to work because we were already streaming.
It's happened before. People have changed the settings and during
Okay.
stream and it's worked. So let's see.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that very much.
Zach's
Oh
raid,
gosh.
if we get it.
Zach's raid, if we get it. Let's see. Where does that leave us? Reflections. Very exciting chapter. No word on Karada, though. I wonder if the burnt will come back as well. Definitely not if Karada doesn't.
Oh, I didn't have a definitely. I was like, I hope. I was here with the I wonder. I was like, I hope that they come back. We can't. I felt like they would probably come back, because they're busy burning, and but yeah, Karata doesn't, which I guess we know it's very different because decapitation and burning alive different levels of damage. Different
Yeah.
rate of expiration there.
So then that brings us to chapter 61, correct?
No, this is now 62.
No, 62.
Mm-hmm.
62.
Mm-hmm.
Hrathen intends for the two of them to leave Tiad. Serene doesn't want to. She doesn't really trust Hrathen. Hrathen does not know why he turned against his religion. He still believes in Dureth. His problem is with Wyrn, not God. Hrathen feels calm after his decision. Fionn, the priest Hrathen had sent away on day 1, stabbed Hrathen in the chest, then disappeared in the crowd. Hrathen looks up at Serene, having loved her, and thinks his goodbyes. Serene screams and tries to help Hrathen. Delof shows up. Fionn had to kill someone, and he had been assigned Hrathen in order to be admitted to the monastery of Rathbor. Raoden heals Lukel. People in Elantris celebrate, though Raoden broods because he can't find Serene, Delof, or Hrathen. Ash informs Raoden that Serene is in Tiad and it's under attack. Delof approaches Serene. Raoden goes to the wall and asks Ash to point him toward Tiad. Galadon tries to talk Raoden out of teleporting. Edian tells Raoden exactly how far Tiad is. Raoden leaves Galadon in charge, then teleports. He shoots light at the monks around Serene. They teleport 50 feet away. Then Raoden remembers he's weaker the farther from Elantris he goes. They make their way to a dock with King Evanteo, but Delof surrounds them with 50 men. Suddenly, Galadon appears, surrounded by hundreds of Elantrians. Delof, bent on revenge, decides to go after Evanteo, knowing Serene and Raoden will follow. Raoden follows after Delof. Delof tackles him. Both of Raoden's hands are injured. He can no longer draw aeons. Serene attacks with a sword, but ends up getting injured in response. Hrathen approaches behind Delof. Delof charges, but Hrathen grabs him with the covered arm, a Dakor arm. Hrathen holds Delof up and looks to the sky, then snaps his neck. Hrathen tumbles forward. Galadon arrives and heals Raoden's hands, who then heals Serene. Hrathen and Delof are confirmed dead.
Damn.
Very action-oriented chapter. My reflections, which I'll do first, was exciting chapter with a few irks I wrote in the notes as I went through it.
Mm.
And my
I'm
first
going through
note
your
for
note.
the
Yeah.
Hrathen has been arked. Of course he's gonna die. If he dies, he may still be saved. And that's like right at the beginning there.
Okay. Yeah.
um
It was sad.
again,
Oh, yeah.
it was very sad. I mean, you like Hrathen. We've spent so much
Mm.
time with him in this book, with him figuring out who he is and what he believes, and coming to his
journey through
truth, I
faith.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is really very sad when you see what happens. I wrote, again with the love thing. The prose itself is quite nice here, but I still don't think it was fully supported from 1 and 2. I think maybe expressing it as a different kind of love other than romantic would have been better. Admiration, maybe. Again, well, we've had this conversation, but Kitteh, would you like to rebut it?
I would like to see what exactly is said in chapter 62 if it's too romantic, because I found it okay.
Let me look through it. Yeah, okay. As the darkness closed in, Hrathen discarded all questions. Instead, his view and consciousness was filled with Serene's worried face, the woman who had destroyed him. Because of her, he had finally rejected the lies he had believed all of his life. She would never know that he had come to love her. Goodbye, my princess, he thought. Jadeth, be merciful to my soul. I only did the best I could.
Yeah, that's not too romantic for me. That was just I came to love her. That's like, it's not like I came to want her or something like that. That's it's ambiguous enough for me. That's how it was in my experience.
Gotcha. Well, you're fired.
And that she's but she's so significant in his life as well. She's the woman who destroyed him, the woman that made him question his faith, all of that. So it makes sense that this affection goes behind it. This, whether it's romantic or not, it's this kind of, and when you are feeling some sort of affection, you are like, wait, I want to possess that person. I want to keep them safe. And yeah, his jealousy also goes with confusion for how could Serene love this new person as well, because that's another thing he knows about her, is that she's smart. So it worked for me. That's all I'll say. It worked for me.
I think I might have been able to come to that if they had maybe 1 or 2 more direct confrontations with each other. Maybe. Serene's concern beyond the immediate loss of an ally was interesting. And there's no moral judgment there, I guess.
Okay.
It's really interesting. It makes sense a little bit. That's all I've got to say there.
And she also it also seems like she also has some sort of weird affection for Rathan. And appreciation for him turning on. It's just she doesn't have the time to have all of those thoughts.
That's exactly it. So I didn't think it was unsupported, and it's interesting and good because we get the her nice speech at the end, and that sort of illuminates the concern that's happening here. So we get a Fionn POV, which was neat.
Who's Fionn?
The assassin that.
Oh yes, that was very cool. That I was like, oh no, I hate this, because it was very well done though, very cinematic.
Yeah, so the situation there is Hrathen came in and kicked this perfectly nice leader of the church out, And then he went and said, hey, I want to become an assassin. And then the Assassin's Guild said, okay, go kill Hrathen at this place at this time, which he basically goes and does. The big tease here, Sanderson wants us to think about is that there's prophecy in this world, or divination of some kind, such that Hrathen, who by all accounts should have been in Erelon, was knew that he would be in Teod at a specific place at a specific time. So that was my big noteworthy thing for that POV.
Yeah. Mysterious.
Yeah. I wrote, expecting Raoden to teleport. Also, he's speaking to Ash. What about his own Sion? And,
yeah, I was like, when is that happening? When is he coming along? But we don't really get him. We don't get him.
Right? There was so much set up for how much Raoden cared about his own Sion. And just like Karata, this was criminally underserved. There was virtually no payoff to that. It was really poorly done.
Ian is just slotted in as they lived happily ever after kind of thing. I'm like, you're so right. There could have been so much more emotional payoff for this he's back kind of thing.
Yes.
Even in the happily ever after thing, it's kind of like, oh, they explained it. He explained it away what Ian was feeling, and that's it. Like they did. You're right. He set up such a good relationship, an important relationship, and then it was just like, never mind.
Yep.
Sad.
I wrote, also still no Karata info. Man alive, is she underserved in this book? I wrote, what are the odds Adian will tell him exactly how many steps to Teod? And then in caps, yep.
Yeah, you knew that as you're like, okay, cool. Just get to it. Like when I was reading it, I'm like, okay, hurry up and just get to the point. Just tell me. Yeah.
I wrote the quote, I'm not sure how I knew that, presumably in reference to the steps. And I wrote in caps, such lamp shading. I wrote, I also realized nothing seems to have come of Hoyd and the weapons. Interesting. Obviously now with the knowledge that there's been an added Hoyd chapter that tempers this a little bit, but again, that's going on in my mind.
No, that's still so valid. There's like nothing happened. They got the weapons, and also it's interesting that Hoyd went in to help. I suppose the only reason Hoyd would want to help Elantrians is so that they can restore Elantris, and then he can transform, I suppose.
Yes.
That's his motive in all of this.
I think so. I wrote, Galadon followed with an army. Who's in Elantris now? Who's leading Elantris?
It's okay. Everyone's just rejoicing and having a good old time. They're good.
Yes. I wrote, deal off POV. Nice. Okay. 50 lives for door-resistant powers.
Damn.
Yeah, so basically we get some information about what happens at Dakor. There's a lot of sacrifices made for these demonic powers, and I guess it took 50 lives to empower Delof, which is dark.
Yeah, it is dark, and I mean this Dareth god is actually a god of the underworld. That's actually below. So I'm thinking demon. Yeah, it seems like that side of that kind of god is not the best one. But we've got it's very dark magic kind of.
Hey, look, Hades is one of my favorite Greek gods. He's not evil. He was a good husband, better than Zeus. Poseidon's actually my favorite Greek god, but Hades is pretty damn close. Anyway, that's a total non sequitur.
I did it. Sorry, I brought it up.
Fair. But yes, this Dareth god is super sketchy. Bit sus.
Yeah.
I like that Deloff incapacitates Raiden by going for the hands.
Yes, I
All
love that.
being,
Mhm.
say that again? Did
No,
you say?
you told, yeah, I said no, I loved that. I also loved it.
Yeah, good fight choreography. Tall Being says, a fellow Hades enjoyer. Yes.
I guess my enjoying of Hades just comes from the Hercules Disney movie. So that's pretty bad.
It's notoriously accurate, that
For him?
movie.
Yeah, notoriously accurate. Yes, absolutely. Well known, actually. They study it in school.
Yes.
Um,
I
and
wrote,
what was I
Hrathen
saying?
is back. Neat.
Yeah, not back, but back.
Yeah. I wrote, wait, why would Deloff be surprised by Hrathen's arm if he was in charge at Decor when Hrathen was there and subsequently kicked out?
Maybe he
And I
thought
think,
my head canon, yeah.
I think, yeah, because it was this big revelation that Deloff, because we didn't really explain it or go into it, Deloff was in charge of the Dakor monastery when Hrathen was there, and presumably when Hrathen decided to leave. So in my mind, Deloff should have known about Hrathen's arm. So for Hrathen to be, for Deloff in this moment, not just to be surprised that Hrathen is there, but to be surprised by the arm as well, um, flickered, I guess, my sus
Yeah, I just
suspicions.
it flickered them, but you weren't like, oh, this doesn't make sense. You were just like, that's an interesting.
I think I assumed I might have missed something.
And I'm just like, okay, well, it makes sense. Well, maybe he just doesn't understand how this arm continued. He shouldn't be able to do it, or something like that. He shouldn't be able um, to use this power anymore. The transformation wasn't complete, so it shouldn't. He just doesn't know enough about it.
Sure.
Or maybe he didn't. Or we don't even know if I don't know, Raiden did it himself or something like that. It didn't feel as Deus Ex Machina as it could have. I suppose now that
I
I'm talking about it. Yeah.
I agree. I don't think it was a Deus Ex Machina
No. Mm.
by any means.
Mm. But it could have if you
Yeah.
really were like, that seems unlikely. It's like, no, we had the nice thing that he hid his arm and all of that.
Yeah. And then we get to 63, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Raoden and Serene adjust their clothes in preparation for the wedding. While they're getting married, Raoden thinks on the markings found on a monk's bones, ancient Fjordell characters. He reflects on the Sions and on Shuden. He reflects on the Sions and on Shuden's magic. There are other ways to access the door. There are other ways to access the door, and he's worried about Wern. The wedding ceremony comes to a close. Serene is looking forward to the wedding night. And then we'll start with the notes and then go to the reflections, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I wrote, En tells them it's time. Is that all we're going to get from En after his presence or lack thereof in parts 1 and 2?
Yep.
Uh,
That's
very,
his payoff. That's his arc.
yeah, very frustrating. I wrote,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so Fjordell has their own Aeon door, essentially. I suppose this isn't a surprise, especially when considering all the magic we now know they have, and unsurprising, it's character-based.
Mm-hmm.
Character meaning not like
Symbol.
Raoden is a character in a book. It's
Mm-hmm.
symbol, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote, okay, we got a thought about En. Good. And then I wrote in all caps, but Karada is dead? That's it? That was her final send-off? A passing? She was beheaded? The disrespect.
True. At least we even
Yeah.
saw her head get chopped off. We weren't like, it wasn't exactly off stream, off screen.
Yeah. Yeah. And then my reflections, I wrote a lot of setup for the future. Very upset we didn't get more about Ian. Curious about who did and didn't survive turning into an Elantrian. Per the Galadon chapter, Ton's face was crushed by stone, yet he clearly survived since Serene's wedding gift thing was made by him. Is there a meaningful difference between having your head crushed or lopped off? Nitpicks, but Karada deserved better. There was a lot of setup for potential books in this world.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, this
A lot of
almost
mystery.
feels
Yeah.
this whole book almost feels like a prequel to coming events.
Yeah, it could be, but yeah, I'm kind of glad he didn't write more of it, because this would be a bit of a clunky first book in a series. It feels like, it can stand alone, but it would be kind of, it stands it stands by itself so well that I wouldn't want it to continue, actually. Maybe it's because of the pace at the end. And yeah, I think it's the pace at the end, the way that it's basically tied up and set up like that. It's like it's too movie-like, I suppose. It actually, it's so weird. Like, the fact that it sets itself up for more books makes me want it not to go on, which is interesting. I don't know. Help me understand myself.
Interesting. I don't know. I'm going to have to sit with that one, and I'm going to get back to you. I understand what you are saying, though.
I'm feeling something, right? Yeah, you're understanding this feeling that I have, but I don't know. I don't know how to explain it further.
Yeah. And we'll get to our final judgments after we finish the epilogue, I think. But I suppose, well, we'll do that when we get to it. I'll do the epilogue summary now, and I suppose then we'll begin to wrap up. Epilogue. A week after the wedding, Raoden is king, and Serene looks at Kay. Raoden tried to abolish nobility, but couldn't do it. Instead, he made the nobility servants of Elantris. Serene admires Raoden's spirit. She thinks about Adian and Keen. Count Ahon arrives. He looks terrible. The others haven't forgiven him for what he did. They are at the graves of Royal, Eondel, Karata, and Saolin. There's one final grave for Hrathen. They left his funeral for last. Serene gives a eulogy. My reflections, asterisk, I want to talk about turning the nobility into servants, and the topic of idealism. But for my reflections, I wrote, turning the nobility into servants, tyranny, depose the tyrant, and a beautiful and moving eulogy, which I would like you to read if you don't mind, Kitteh, at some point.
Okay, let's go. Yeah.
But I feel like any leader who tries to turn nobility into servants would be deposed almost immediately. There was something very idealistic about
just like,
Go on.
No, it's just it's just, oh well, and that happened. There you go, and that was easier than making them not. They're still nobility, but they're servants. I don't know. I would want more information to understand how that.
Bureaucrats. He turned them into bureaucrats, or something like that. No, it's just, it's idealism. I don't hate it or anything. It's just, I mean, it fits with, I guess, who Raoden and Serene are.
Right. So I've got the speech.
Okay, yes. So starting from I will not speak long, yeah?
Yeah. I will not speak long. For though I had more contact with the man Raoden than most of you, I did not know him. I always assumed that I could come to understand a man through being his enemy, and I thought that I understood Raoden, his sense of duty, his powerful will, and his determination to save us from ourselves. Neat. I like that. She see this being of an enemy thing, she can still come to understand him, but then I appreciate her doing this. I did not see his internal conflict. I could not know the man whose heart eventually drove him to reject all that he had once believed in the name of. I could not know the man whose heart eventually drove him to reject all that he had once believed in the name of what he knew was right. So I think this is kind of eventually, this is what actually, yeah, on some level goes through her mind when she notices he's attacked Dilaf.
I agree completely.
Yeah. I never knew that Raven, who placed the lives of others ahead of his own ambition. So she does say that she never knew the Raven who placed the lives of others ahead of his own ambition. So she had that idea in mind that no, he's a baddie. These things were hidden, but in the end, they are what proved most important to him. And that's the arc that we also got before he died. Like he tried his best. He's made his peace with God, with his God. Hey, Love It. Love It is a book person too.
Excellent. What books do you read? Do you enjoy?
All of them.
Excellent.
Then, when you remember this man, think not of an enemy. Think of a man who longed to protect Arleron, and its people. That's exactly how this goes. Hey, Joshua. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi, everybody sent from Zaxi. Woohoo! Thanks, Zax.
Thank you, Zax.
Hi, nerds.
Zax has a great channel. He, well, you all know you came from there. He watches fun videos with a panel, a circle of jerks, if you will.
But he also does What's Good Wednesday. So he actually looks at what's good. So that's where you guys were just. Yeah. So I'm reading to you guys. Think of the man he became, the hero who saved your king. My husband and I would have been killed by the monster of Dakor, and had Raven not arrived to protect us. You read everything, says Joshua as well. Yeah. Most important, remember Raven as the one who gave the vital warning that saved Tiod's fleets. Yes, he did. I'm enjoying that. Good. He was the guy that basically saved the day, and it was not like the Aedean giving us the steps. It was not that Deus Ex Machina. It was a character arc. So love it.
Yeah.
If the Armada had burned, then be assured that Tiod wouldn't have been the only country to suffer. Wyrn's armies would have fallen on Erelon, Elantris, or no Elantris, and you would be fighting for survival at this moment, if, that is, you were even still alive.
Serene paused, letting her eyes linger on the grave. At its head stood a carefully arranged stack of blood-red armor. Hrathen's cloak hung on the end of a sword, its point driven into the soft earth. The crimson cape flapped in the wind.
Oh, did she say something? Sorry, I closed my book.
Yes.
What did she say?
You tell me. You're the one with the... She says, no, when you speak of this man, let it be known that he died in our defense. Let it be said that after all else, Hrathen, Gjorn of Shudareth, was not our enemy. He was our savior. An excellent end to the book.
Absolutely.
Joshua, this is Elantris. It was Brandon Sanderson's first published book, I believe. Is that correct, Kitteh?
I think so, yeah.
It is a fantasy novel, the premise of which is essentially that there was this city, Elantris, a city of gods or godlike beings, and one day it ceased being. It was cursed, and the Elantrians became like zombies or something to that effect. And there's this great mystery about it, and we follow the prince of a nearby town who essentially turns into one of these corpse-like zombie creatures. Not creatures, people. They are people. They still have their minds. It's interesting. If you're going to start with Brandon Sanderson, though, I would recommend starting with Mistborn before Elantris, though, or The Emperor's Soul. You've read Mistborn and the first 3 Stormlight archives, familiar with his writing. Great. Good. Kitteh and I are reading through Well of Ascension right now for the very first time. We just recorded chapter 47, so we don't know anything that comes after that point. And we are reading Way of Kings for the first time. We just recorded 36, so we don't know anything that comes after that point.
Yeah, we go chapter by chapter, pretty slow. So this was just a different format where we read parts of the book and then go and talk about it in a live stream.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're doing that. It would be, it'll be very interesting for you to read, if you're familiar with Brandon Sanderson, to see what he was the way he wrote in the beginning, and like basically the beginnings of what you then get exposed to later on.
It's really fascinating seeing the overlapping elements of the books, the Sanderisms. Not a fan of Mistborn, but love the heck out of Stormlight.
I love Mistborn. I'm sorry. I actually am like, I understand that you're supposed to, as a Brandon Sanderson fan, you understand that Stormlight Archive is like his magnum opus, and Mistborn is just, it's just Mistborn. But maybe it's because it's the first Branderson next to his, his Wheel of Time that I was exposed to. Maybe that's what makes me so affectionate towards it. Maybe it's because I just love Vin so much. But yeah, I really love Mistborn. Yeah.
I'm enjoying the Mistborn journey right now. As you would hear going through it, if you were to listen to our videos, we have our fair share of nitpicks. I agree Way of Kings is a substantial increase in quality, but I am enjoying Mistborn. But while we're on that topic, that's the end of Elantris. A very powerful, moving eulogy at the end there. What did you think of the book, Kitty?
So yeah, the pace was really ramped up the first at the end there. So it kind of felt a bit strange. Overall, though, I enjoyed this book. So I don't think it's better than anything else we've read from Sanderson. Absolutely not. You can see it's the beginning. Some of the stuff that he does now is he's a lot more skillful in the way he does these things. This is a lot more clunky than we're used to. But I still enjoyed it. I still love the world that is involved. And yes, the Cosmere of it was quite exciting. Just this somewhat connectedness of it, but I don't know. No spoilers, Joshua. Yeah, all of that it was fun. It was fun to go into a Cosmere novel and see how as well, just see how everything rhymes with what's going on in the other books. So I like that. There actually is, I was going to ask you, maybe I don't know if I should let you just say, rather you say how you feel about it, and then I'll ask you what else you got in the rest of your book.
Oh dear.
Because there's extra stuff that I got as well.
Okay. I'm not sure I can bring myself to say I like the book. There are a lot of things about the book that I like. I like Wraithen, and I like Raoden, but it is just a bit too clunky. There are setups that aren't really paid off well. And the world is interesting. The premise is interesting. I like the magic system and the mystery. But I just, for me to really like it, I think it would need a bit more refinement. I'm glad I have read it, particularly in the sense that we're going through the Sanderson universe, dare I say Cosmere, right now, and I feel like having it has added context to the universe that he's trying to build. So I certainly don't regret reading it. But as we had just sort of talked with Josh about, it's not something I would recommend as your first entry into Sanderson.
Yeah. I agree with, I like the way that you worded that, okay, it's, I like parts of it, I like certain characters, whatever, but as a whole, it's too clunky. Yeah. Wee, Connor. Thanks,
Thank
Zaxy.
you, Connor.
Thanks, Zax Raiders.
Yeah.
Welcome.
So welcome. So what did you want to ask me, Kitty?
Okay,
Because
so
you wanted my take first.
Okay, yes. And then we got also, I think, a thing that made me understand a little bit of where this book stands for Brandon. We've got like I got in my edition the Elantris deleted scenes, the Mad Prince. So he goes and it's basically a whole bunch of stuff where he just explains how he had certain characters in the book. I think it's available on the website. You can go and read it. It's a lot, so I can't read it to you now. But he basically says, I'll just read the first paragraph so you can kind of get the gist of what happens in this deleted scenes stuff and how he explains things to you. As you can imagine, a lot changes in a book during the drafting process. For some authors, the changes are much larger than for others. I personally happen to be what is called a one drafter. This means that I plan a lot before I write, then generally get the plot, setting, and characters down on the page as I want them. Further drafts add detail or fix problems I discover once I have the entire text completed. Still, Elantris went through 10 drafts before its first publication. This means that even for a one drafter like me, a lot of things got changed. Most of the alterations were minor tweaks. However, there was one major change made to the novel, the deletion of Raoden's brother, the Mad Prince. So the reasons for this change were various. First off, and most important, the scenes with Ethan, this is the person's name, the brother, Ethan threw off the pacing. So there's reasons he took this out, pacing-wise, right? And we're like, yeah, but there's still a lot that threw off the pacing for us in this book, in a weird way. So yeah, and he explains where he put this in and where he took it out, and then he gives you the actual writing, the actual chapters in which Ethan is. And I'm so glad he removed him, because he talks about some things. He goes, no, you some of my friends, when they read it, they were very sad to see Ethan be taken out. But for me, I'm like, no. He's actually a farcical kind of character. I prefer him not to be there. But what I do is I associate him with Zane.
Interesting.
Depends on your reading level. At my level, I did not find Mistborn original or exciting. But looking through Elantris, I probably would have read it once easily. Stormlight is more traditional fantasy. Yeah, I don't. If you don't like Mistborn, I think you would very much not like Elantris. But I think, why not read it so that you know? And it's very interesting to have different levels. What's nice about Brandon Sanderson is you can experience all different. He's written just so much. You can experience him in so many different ways.
Yeah. And with regard to this section, I would have to go and read that postscript information, I think, to really weigh in on it. You know what? If I can find it online, it occurs to me that having finished Elantris, we have unlocked the short story, The Hope of Elantris, which I'm looking at now, and it's about 17 pages or so. We won't read it now, of course, but we should, I think, asterisk this conversation for when we do that, and that'll help add out that stream, yeah?
Okay.
But it's interesting. Is there anything more you would please continue to monologue on that, if you
No,
like?
he just I don't know if also in these chapters, I think you see Hoyd one or two times, and um he refers to the Aeon door actually being he reveals this, that the Aeon, like not the Aeon, but like the drawing from the door is kind of drawing from a dead god, the remains of a dead god. I think that's where it is, where that reference is, because I was waiting for you to bring it up, and you didn't. So I'm thinking, okay, that must have come from the other chapters I read.
Interesting. That
So
makes sense.
excited for you to go and read it, and yeah, then I don't. Yeah, we either added to that Hope of Elantris live stream. We'll see.
Yeah, so we'll have to figure that one out. And of course, having finished this, we can now do an Elantris fan casting stream as well. So
Yeah.
you can look forward to that.
I'll
Much
try.
to do.
Yeah, and yeah, it's fan casting. I try very hard, but they're always in. I really appreciate Dorcas's patience with my inability to. I'll start looking out at the series that I'm watching. Yeah, that's usually what happens with my fan casting. Is just where you'll see what I'm watching, because then I'll go, that person looks like this one, and that's how I cast.
Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Is there anything else for us to cover?
Hey, why don't you also tell the good people what else happens on your channel? It's not just a Brandison channel.
It is not, but to go through the Sanderson stuff, Sunday mornings we have our Well of Ascension read-throughs, about one chapter a week. We read through the chapter and discuss it as we go through. And then Tuesday mornings we have Storming the Archives, which is where we summarize a chapter of Way of Kings and then discuss what the chapter was. Suspicions, expectations, what we liked and didn't like, etc. And then I'm trying on Fridays now to have sort of a book accountability group, at least to make sure that I get my reading in the week that I would like done. I'm currently reading Dune for the first time, and I'm talking a bit about that at some point. I have many books on the back burner. I've got the Aeneid, for one thing. I've got The Godfather. I've got books about Rome. All
How
will
many books?
hopefully.
How many books do you keep going at one point? Yeah, Dune. I can't join the happy weekend. Thanks, love it. What's the name? You too, by the way. But I haven't read Dune, so I can't sit in for those things because it's kind of spoilerish. So I have to skip that part. But how many books do you typically read at a time?
It can be so scattershot. So I've got a copy of The Beginnings of Rome by T.J. Cornell. This is also kind of answering your question, Josh. And I've been going through that one exceptionally slowly for months now. But that's about the closest thing to a textbook that I have.
Yeah.
I've reread the first book of Livy, and Livy's The Early History of Rome, dozens of times, and I just like haven't gotten to the Republic yet. But so it's not quite accurate to say I'm reading it, but I certainly intend to. I finished Lawless Republic, which is a book about Cicero. Dune I'm getting through quickly enough. I haven't started the Aeneid yet. I suspect it's going to be tough. My ability to get through a book really is dictated upon how much my ADHD brain can really handle, and how easy it is. I think it's part of why I like Sanderson so much. His prose really isn't that difficult. I've used the word accessible frequently.
It's not as an insult. It's pretty good.
Yes, that. Josh has only read 2 Dune books. Tall being having read the first 3, you're pretty set. So a variety of books is what I read. I also have some Tad Williams. I need to get through the Stone of Farewell. Tad Williams is tough for me to get through. He has very pretty prose, and I'll read like 4 or 5 paragraphs and be like, "What did I just read?"
I enjoyed
so
it.
pretty, but yeah. Oh no, I liked the first book. A bit slow in the first 150 pages or so, but the characters
I got
were
so
great.
stuck in it. I loved it. I just loved the way it was written. It's so whimsical.
Agreed. And the characters, Binabik is such a fun character.
Yeah. But I
Yeah,
need to get back to that. I want to read that as well. Go back to the next books.
Me too. Yeah, I agree. He can be tough, but he bridges such an interesting gap between old school fantasy and modern fantasy. And I had started reading it because I had heard that it was a big inspiration for Game of Thrones, of which I am a massive fan. So I wanted to see the connections and the inspirations, etc.
Will you? I'm just asking, just because you've just mentioned that you're a big Gurm fan. Would you ever do any content regarding that?
I honestly can't think of anything that I could say that hasn't already been said or could meaningfully add to the
Do you not know how the
conversation.
internet works? That's you're supposed to just do it. I've read all of Game of Thrones. We want to hear what you think, even if it is exactly what other people think or not. We want to know what it is. So I'm just teasing you, just wanting to know if you're going to read.
Actually, that reminds me, because you and I recorded chapter 36. I've said this like 4 times now. 36 in Way of Kings, which was the chapter where Shalon steals the Soulcaster, I think, or switches it out. No spoilers. And I had intended to talk to you in that chapter about making a comparison between Shalon and Sansa Stark, because Sansa, in the early books, she has all of these very feminine qualities that Arya finds very aggravating. And a lot of people get very frustrated with her, but at the same time, you see Gurm does a really wonderful job of establishing her intelligence throughout this as well, because it's building towards her being a very political savvy, intelligent character. So that's there too. And I wanted to sort of compare and contrast Sansa and Shalon. Oh man, Kitty's the Wheel of Time girl.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I guess I'm always reading that because it's always in audiobook form, or I've got it. I've started reading or rereading at some point. It's always something I'm reading. Yeah, I guess it competes with the Bible in terms of how much I read it. Yeah, but I need to reread because I have read all of the Game of Thrones, but I need to reread to be able to really comment on what you're saying about Sansa here. I do remember being frustrated with her, but I do remember liking her eventually. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, I can't comment beyond that. I need to reread. But now I'm like, geez, there's so much reading that I have to do that it'll take me a while before I return to Game of Thrones. And it's, it's not like, ooh, Winds of Winter is going to come out like now. So I think I'm fine.
You're reading meditations for your memberships, your channel members. How's that going?
Yeah, it's slow going because I'm got quite a lot of reading going on, fiction reading going on. But yeah, weekly I'm at least going to release a video talking about what's going on in it, just about 10 minutes discussion. So far I've finished the introduction, so I've understood the historical significance of or the way that this meditations was put together. And nerds, you're a nerd. Yeah, Zach thinks reading is evil and dangerous. But yet you directed to this channel, so that makes you evil, Zach. Yeah, so yeah, with meditations, I'm just getting into it. Apparently, what I've really learned, just a sneak peek of my next video, is it's like him practicing philosophy more than a diary or something like that. He's practicing his thoughts. He's going through these literally these meditations, these conversations or whatever with himself. And that makes me really excited for it, because I do the same thing when I'm journaling. Actually, I'm not saying, oh, I'm like Marcus Aurelius. I'm just saying I'm excited to see into another mind that way. And they're like, oh, you'll find it, the introduction people are like, oh, you'll find it a bit repetitive because he's going over this. And I like that shows it's not being written to be read by other people. I love that. So I'm really excited about it.
He'd be rolling over in his giant marble grave if he knew that his diary became a bestseller. I picked up meditation. Terry Goodkind. I read Wizard's First Rule and many of the subsequent books when I was in high school. It has been many years.
I was in college when it was recommended to me, because the Wheel of Time. My Wheel of Time tattoos were a lot more prominent, and people like, if you like Wheel of Time, look at Terry Goodkind. And I can see a lot of
Gar?
overlap. I don't know the characters. I just, for a long time I was like 19. So yeah, I've still got them on my Audible.
I think Gar was like that bat-like monster creature that ended up becoming Richard's friend or something after he beat Dark and Raw.
Oh, I think that's in later
many
books.
Years.
Yeah, that's in later books.
Probably.
Definitely. I would have. The thing that I remember is him like being beaten by basically a dominatrix chick. And,
yeah, I remember her.
Yeah,
the blonde.
Always a blonde.
Yeah, I remember when I picked up meditations many years ago. I was so I come a little bit from an acting background, and
drama kid.
Yeah, drama kid. I tend to more easily slip into the nerdier type characters, the awkward guys. I have a much tougher time with leaders and authoritative figures. And I thought, if I read meditations, I can read into the mind of someone who was responsible for half the world, one of the greatest empires, etc. This could be invaluable. I must try to learn what I can. So it helped a little bit. It gave me some.
I'm glad to. Yeah.
Insight.
What did it? Yeah. Did it? Okay. I'll see how it feels for my feminine feelings.
Excellent. That said, I think we should about start wrapping it up now, yeah?
I'm good, yeah.
Cool. Well, we've covered what's on our channels.
Well, I mean, we are going to have a very important debate on my channel this week, Friday, or Thursday for you guys. We're doing a think. It's a very controversial topic, so just be there, okay?
Yes, very
don't reveal
serious.
It, yes.
Don't reveal it. I will not reveal it, but it is a very serious debate. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week. Subscribe to that Darn Kitteh if you get a chance, because she's got a great channel. And
Subscribe
we'll
to
see you
Dorcas.
next time. And that too. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.